Good afternoon, and thanks for joining. My name is Dave Hatfield. I'm the president of Pure Storage. There are three things I'd like to achieve by the next few minutes together. First is give you an introduction to Pure Storage, who we are, what we're about, what we're trying to do. Two, provide some tangible case studies with existing innovators who have moved disk-based systems and moved to 100% solid state together with Pure. And third, identify a couple of areas that may be worth exploring on your road to the all-flash enterprise going forward. So first, who's Pure? Pure was founded 5 years ago with the fundamental premise of delivering data center storage that customers love. We recognize that disk-based systems provided a physics challenge in our data centers and translated into a roadblock for the efficiency and the speed and resiliency of our applications that were being delivered. And if we can remove that block, that's literally 1,000 times slower than its counterparts over the last 20 or 30 years of innovated in compute and internetworking. We can enable the next generation data center to deliver a far better alignment and set of services, to the end user and to the customer. So we wanted to deliver a next-generation data center storage technology that people fundamentally loved. The team is made up of people from Google and Facebook, as well as Microsoft and Veritas and BEA and Sun, really to bring together a combination of open systems, next-generation technologies, together with enterprise-class next-generation storage footprints across Veritas, VMware, Oracle, and others. We funded the business for long-term independence. We've raised $470 million to date from a combination of traditional venture capital, first 4 rounds from Sutter Hill, Greylock, Redpoint, and Index. And then about 2 years ago, we decided we wanted to keep the company private, but we wanted to have public company financing. So we talked to Fidelity and T. Rowe Price, who led an investment valuing the business at north of $3.5 billion, the largest valuation for any independent storage company, with the exception of NetApp and EMC. Everyone else that's innovated and pioneered in Tier 1 storage all were acquired, and we didn't want to have that same fate happen to us. So we wanted to keep it independent, provide investors and provide customers and partners the confidence that we're here for the long term. And so having the best of both worlds, public company financing, but remaining private, was our financing strategy. Finally, we are a Silicon Valley-based technology company. Our IP are our key assets and our people. We have over 300 patents that are either issued or pending going forward on delivering the innovation of moving off of mechanical disk onto all-flash architecture as a next-generation modern storage platform for the future. In order to do this, we had to break the economics barrier of flash. Flash is inherently more expensive. We believe that if we can ride the cost curve over a 10 or 15-year period off of the consumer-grade flash business that's out there, we'll be able to deliver the economics that are transformative to the data center that are required in order to shift off of one media to another. This only happens a few times, or 1 or 2 times over a 20 or 30-year period, so we needed to leverage a macro trend. We chose consumer-grade flash because it's a $35 billion industry made up of Toshiba, Samsung, and Micron, all spending billions of dollars on fabs and R&D, driving densities up and cost per gigabyte down. That's a fundamental thesis to our business model. So far, it's proven out to be true. We started the business 5 years ago. It was $20 per gigabyte for raw NAND flash. 3 years ago, when we broke the cost barrier to be at parity with 10 or 15K performance spindles, we were at $12.50 per gigabyte for raw NAND flash. Today, in 2014, as we enter 2015, we're $8.50, and we think that cost per gigabyte of raw NAND flash will go down in the low single digits over the next couple of years. We built an architecture that allows customers to take advantage of that density and cost curve going forward. And today, we're already at or below the cost of 10 or 15K performance spindles or hybrid solutions that are out there. So there's really no fundamental reason not to go on 100% solid state based upon economics. This translates into an immediate and compelling ROI, not only in the product acquisition cost, but because flash is obviously 10x more efficient, 10x faster, you have a much smaller footprint which pulls down space, power, and cooling resources by nearly 80 or 90% on average. You're spending at or below the same price from a capital investment perspective, and our maintenance costs are significantly lower over a total cost of ownership type of a cycle. And so when you compare your total cost today with the cost with Pure Storage going forward, our challenge is to deliver that to be compelling well below what you're spending today on your current infrastructure. This is the reason why the adoption is happening at a mainstream level today. We have hundreds of customers with thousands of arrays deployed on a global scale, from the Gap in the largest, and Tesco in the largest retail environments, to ConocoPhillips in oil and gas, to Athena in healthcare, to LinkedIn, Facebook, and Netflix on the big web-centrics, to Samsung in manufacturing, to Workday and Jive and others in the and Verizon and ServiceNow in the SaaS-based or infrastructure as a service-based telecommunications companies. All of them have started to adopt Pure Storage as the Tier 1 standard and are rolling through petabytes worth of disk-based infrastructure and shifting it to solid state. Gartner's recognized that this trend is occurring as well, and has positioned Pure Storage on the top right-hand quadrant of the leadership storage, of the leadership and vision categories. You can see that there's a lot of other companies that are out there, but the distance between built for independence and long-term and scale and success is very different from the rest of the pack. And so our vision and our ability to execute is the only best-of-breed provider compared to the incumbents that are out there. And we're very excited about Gartner's recognition of this success in the marketplace, and it's only just beginning. So if I'm you and I'm a CIO, I'm trying to do three things fundamentally. One is to deliver application efficiency across the board. We need to have that Google-like out-of-the-box experience that we have as consumers for all of our IT infrastructure, for our employees and partners in supply chain. Oftentimes it's not the case. The adoption of consumer or of flash in the data center still is in single digits on a global basis because that cost barrier hadn't been broken until Pure Storage. But if you look at the big web-centrics like the Googles and the Facebooks of the world, they've been running all flash for their mission-critical applications for quite some time. Bring that in to deliver that consistent application efficiencies overall. Two, allow you to crunch more data with big data and analytics workloads to enable the lines of business to have the insights they need based upon the power of all the tools that are out there in big data. And third, be able to enable the mobile workforce inside of your environments with whatever device they may come in on in a secure and highly available fashion. Those are the items above the line. Below the line, the expectation is that the infrastructure just works. We're moving to cloud-based strategies because it should just push that competency out to partners. We are the enabler to the cloud, either your own private cloud or the public cloud for service providers that are out there, because we can deliver that consistent low latency experience that Google and Facebook do for their applications, but across thousands of IT applications going forward. It should just work, and it should just work more cost effectively than what we've had to put up with in the past. And so if we can shift our budget and our dollars up to the strategic initiatives that will enable the business while funding that with a much more efficient, lower cost, cloud-based architecture underneath, we've met the needs of what most CIOs and IT directors of infrastructure have asked us to go do. So for every 250 terabytes of Tier 1 storage, Pure frees up one employee, one full-time FTE, and $500,000 per year in hard cost dollar savings from a combination of product savings, maintenance savings, space power and cooling savings, and licensing fees that are no longer necessary with the big software vendors as they've rolled out to try and monetize and extend their own businesses. That's compelling when you apply it toward hundreds of terabytes, dozens of petabytes, and hundreds of petabytes in large-scale organizations, and the math rings true. And we look forward to the opportunity to work with your teams to demonstrate this in a quantifiable way to your specific operating environment. So effectively, we came up with this very simple recipe that's fourfold. One, deliver consistent performance moving to 100% solid state on flash memory. We chose consumer-grade flash because it's where the market and the industry is going. Two, delivered at or below the cost of disk. This is through a series of our software algorithms for deduplication, pattern removal, etc., to be able to remove all the unnecessary waste of storing multiple copies of all of our data across the board and just storing what we need in a highly resilient HA fashion. Third, deliver mission-critical functionality and reliability. There is no option for our Tier 1 workloads to be anything other than up. And one of the things that people misjudge around flash is that it's actually 50 times more reliable than its counterparts in disk. So we can deliver 5 and 6 nines of availability, make a more reliable environment than what you've been accustomed to over the last 20 or 30 years. And fundamentally, when you rewrite the rules from the ground up with a far better substrate and solid state than having to work around the inefficiencies of disk. You can challenge the thinking and the complexity that has grown through all the different software products to make disk work. And so deliver something disruptively simple, intuitive, Apple-like out of the box, remember, that you fall in love with, just like we do with our consumer products. So we've done that and delivered it in an architecture that's scalable, so you can buy a small, medium, or large array. You could stitch together multiple arrays for a multi-petabyte environment. And we've made it to be non-disruptive everything. So you can upgrade shelves of 512 gig drives when 2 terabyte drives come out by pulling out a shelf, putting in the new shelf non-disruptively without any performance penalty. This fundamentally changes the procurement strategies that we have to deal with from the big storage, where every 4 years there's a tech refresh where you relicense, do big data migration, etc. That goes away with Pure Storage. So hardware arrays that have the software built into them. The real IP for the company, leveraging commodity-grade componentry and Moore's Law on the compute side, is really in the software. Our company heritage are executives and engineers from Google and Facebook and Veritas and BEA and VMware who are really creating a software layer that is a fundamental, from the purpose-built foundation of a file system for flash-based architectures while delivering all the data services that are required. We call this our Purity operating system, and it delivers 4 key things. First, the reduction technologies that I hit on. Second, protection and security, so delivering resiliency across all of our data so you never have a data loss. And 2, encrypting all the data at rest so it's secure and you can be in line with compliance standards across the board. Third, flash recover, where you can do business continuity, disaster recovery with our replication softwares, and FlashCare, ultimately constantly grooming the cells to ensure that it has maximum optimized utilization for the life of your array. This hits on 4 key use cases initially. We encourage you to look at sort of those thorny applications, that are IOP intensive, that are really affecting the business. It could be a supply chain application, your e-commerce application. If you're a hospital, it could be the medical records. So for schools, it could be your core curriculum applications, etc. So it's ultimately the mission critical workload. Start with the one that's thorny, where disk is the bottleneck to enabling the level of resiliency you want. You'll be amazed at the impact you'll have. We have customers with 600, 700, 800% performance improvements in providing that application resiliency and efficiency. 2, if you're deploying a private cloud, doing so with mechanical disk with all of its limitations is very, very difficult and cumbersome and expensive. With a pod-based approach, with Pure, wrapped together with other next-generation best-of-breed technologies, can enable the next generation of your private cloud. Third, VDI deployments. The 2 inhibiting factors of getting broad brush deployments for VDI are cost per desktop, either through software or the storage and user experience. Storage on a disk-based system requires over-provisioning where it's $600 or $700 per desktop just for storage. On Pure, it's less than $100, and it provides that lightning-fast solid-state performance that you expect as though you were going into Google. So VDI is a good place to start. And finally, if you want to just do distributed site protection in a more efficient way with our replication technologies in a couple of systems, it's a great place to start for specific workloads. So one of those 4 areas generally is a good place to start exploring where we can have an immediate value on your business, and then from there expand as a Tier 1 standard going forward. 4 key industry examples that we like to refer to. LinkedIn scaling from 40 million users to 400 million users. They had constraints around space, constraints around being able to hire IT people as fast as they possibly needed to, and so they were able to scale on their Tier 1 standard, moving off of legacy disk onto Pure, while enabling general purpose IT administrators, virtualization experts to manage the storage because it was so easy, while decreasing the footprint by 80%. Workday, one of the leading SaaS-based companies, obviously competing with SAP and Oracle, needed to provide instantaneous access to their applications in a SaaS-based model. That's powered by Pure Storage. Or Sierra Nevada, where they're manufacturing, the leading brands of beer, independent beer. Going forward, their supply chain application needed to be fast, needed to be instantaneous, and didn't have a huge IT budget with lots of resources. Pure Storage was an obvious fit. And with Skullcandy, creating that engagement from an e-commerce perspective that was lightning fast so they can transact and upsell and cross-sell their customers with great resiliency. All of these examples are representative of the hundreds of customers that we have across all industry verticals, providing real tangible business value. So in closing, there are 5 key differentiators for Pure. One, we have the broadest guarantee of anyone in the industry, where we will guarantee your happiness with our array and allow you to return it with no questions asked within the first 30 days. So far, we haven't had one of those come back. All software is included. So as long as you're under maintenance, all of the innovation and software that we're doing, think of us as a SaaS company or cloud company and delivering you software for your array, is included. So when we came out with replication, included for free, all of our thousands of arrays were upgraded based upon our customers' interest. So no more nickels and dimes across multiple software charges and relicensing fees from your storage vendor. Third, we believe fundamentally that we should be able to have our systems up and running in your environment in an hour without any professional services, and they won't require tuning going forward. So while professional services and technical account management and project management and advisory services is definitely something that we can leverage around the disruption that Flash can have and the benefits across your entire architecture, if it has to require professional services to plug it in or to optimize it, we consider it a bug. So make it intuitive, Apple-like, out-of-the-box experience. 4, leverage next-generation cloud-based technologies to proactively monitor, identify issues before they become an issue, and address it. 92% of the issues we detect in advance and work with you remotely to resolve before you're even aware that they become an issue. That's our standard maintenance offering, leveraging cloud-based tools. And finally, provide a very disruptive commercial model where we guarantee that you'll have free controllers as a part of your maintenance contract every 3 years in your environment. This completely changes the incumbent business model of data migrations and tech refreshes every 4 years. That completely goes away. You'll always have the latest and greatest technology from a Moore's Law perspective, and you'll have a decreasing cost per gigabyte as the densities and the costs go down for SSDs. We think it's a fundamentally better approach to the next generation storage. We're excited and appreciate your consideration and look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks very much.